Heartbeat Alaska is made possible by the following. By Coca-Cola, serving Alaska quality soft drinks since 1937. By the generous support of the Alaska Native Health Board. By the Alaska Commercial Company, Alaska's supplier of food, family apparel, and general Alaskan merchandise since 1867.
There's a heartbeat, louder than thunder. Revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool to care?
Hello and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska. I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you Native news from way up north. Thank you so much for joining me. Heartbeat Alaska has been aired for the past 2 years across Canada over Television Northern Canada. We've been picked up in the Russian Far East, across Alaska, and in Arizona and in Montana. Any new stations across America that are picking us up, we welcome you. Heartbeat Alaska is Native news. Much of it is contributed by our viewers. We want to encourage you, if you're living on a reservation, to please get your camcorder out, just like our Native people in Alaska do, and share the news from your village or community or reservation with us. Let's begin Heartbeat Alaska's program with Gary Fife and Native news across the nation.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife. In Wisconsin, the Winnebago tribe will soon be voting on a new tribal constitution. The tribe is undertaking the project because its old one has been outgrown. Tribal officials working on the document say that old one was just a boilerplate constitution put forward by the Bureau of Indian Affairs years ago. They say the new one comes from the Wisconsin Winnebago themselves, and so it will be more useful to today's tribal members. The proposed constitution would spell out duties for the 3 branches of tribal government, plus set up a modern tribal court system. Members of the Ho-Chunk will be going to the polls on September 17th to approve the new document. In the Southwest, leaders of the Tesuque and Nambe Pueblos have come out against the expansion of a local ski area, saying that expansion would infringe on sacred sites. The Pueblo governors are targeting the Santa Fe ski area, saying the planned expansion would affect 3 trails historically used by the Pueblos to get to religious sites in the mountains. Local ski lodge developers have been placing ads in local newspapers calling for public support for the planned expansion. The Sauk Seattle tribe of Washington is nearing the completion of a 5-year dream. The tribe is almost finished constructing a 50 by 100-foot traditional tribal longhouse. Tribal Chairman James Joseph says the tribe is using state, federal, and private grants to put the longhouse up in order to keep tribal members in touch with their own history. He adds the longhouse was the center of tribal activity where tribal parents taught their children traditional values and games. Later this month, or in early October, the treatment of Native Americans in the judicial system of South Dakota will be examined. Although no specific date or site has been established, one of the organizers, Rita Means of Rosebud, says they're hoping to get state Supreme Court judges, prosecutors, tribal leaders, and corrections officials together. They'll be discussing topics like sentencing, victims' rights, the cultural and spiritual rights of Native inmates, and establishing halfway houses near reservations. State officials are hoping that the talks and recommendations could help in healing between the Native and non-Native peoples of that state. In another South Dakota note, the contestant representing that state in the September 17th Miss America pageant has upset some of the Sioux peoples there. Christy Bauer, who is not Native, has chosen to wear a buckskin dress in the talent portion of the contest. She's doing a dramatic and musical presentation, and part of her stage props are to include a traditional Native burial scaffold. That's the part that's drawn fire from Velvaloo Spencer, a member of the Siston-Wahpeton tribes. She says the appearance of the burial scaffold in a beauty pageant makes a mockery of Native spirituality. Ms. Bauer says it's a portrayal of a white woman who was adopted into the tribe, grieving over lost loved ones. Bauer says she had the approval of some Lakota leaders, but the person she named denied approving the use of a burial scaffold. Bauer says she intends to go ahead with her presentation and that it's too late to change. As school kids return for the academic year, some kids on the Oneida Reservation will have something special to go back to this year. The tribe is putting up a new school, which in itself is not so unusual, but this one is different. The tribe has built a new school in the shape of a turtle. The design was inspired by one of the 3 historic clans of the Iroquois Confederacy. The new Oneida Elementary School is expected to have about 400 students in K through 8 and has room for more. The $11.4 million school is shaped like a turtle to symbolically recognize the traditional culture of the Oneida peoples. And finally, Southeast Alaska natives are hailing the return of a traditional tribal clan mask from the Anchorage Museum of History and Art. The helmet mask of the Wolf Clan has been the subject of a 10-year effort by tribal members to get it returned to the Tlingit people of Alaska. It's the first time an Alaska Native artifact has been repatriated in the state. This is Native News Across the Nation. For Heartbeat Alaska, I'm Gary Fife.
Not so complicated, as simple as can be. You're always a comfort to set my spirit free. Oh, you're the part of me, that's the heart of me. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me. Dr. Pepper, you're a part of me. There's a heartbeat.
Heartbeat Alaska is made possible by TCC, a joint venture with Chenega Bay, Tutitlik, and Chugach Alaska Corporation. Through SERVS, Ship Escort Response Vessel System, providing tanker escort services in Prince William Sound, protecting our environment. Chugach Alaska Corporation.
Let's travel now to Canada, where children with disabilities seem to thrive in an atmosphere of special tutoring and education.
For kids in Northern Ontario, school is a place to get together and try new things. Life in the remote north has never been easy, but it's even harder if you have to start out with a handicap. Samantha Moose was born with severe vision impairment. It seemed unlikely that she would ever be able to reach out beyond the walls of her parents' home. But here in the Pekanjigam school, people believe that everyone should be given a fair chance. In her grade 1 class, Samantha gets the same treatment as all the other kids her own age. And she gets something more, the care and attention of people dedicated to helping her succeed. The program is supported by the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs, backed by her parents and run by Birchstickian Choke School. With the help of special education teachers, classroom teachers, and Dean, her tutor escort, Samantha is finding her way in a dimly lit world. The key to Samantha's progress is her own spirit and determination. She's bright and always ready to take on something new. Being accepted by the other kids in her class is especially important. But even with all this on her side, she still needs others to help her over the rough spots. The special attention she gets from her tutor has made all the difference.
Oh, I think she's progressed a lot there. She didn't know how to count when she first started. And she didn't know her alphabets, colors, and all that. Now she's starting to know all those. For Samantha Lee, she needs a lot more material for her handicap ads. She needs a lot more material. Sometimes I run out of ideas what to teach her.
Without her tutor, Samantha would have no chance of going to school here in Pekanjigam. Like so many others, she would have to be moved south away from her family to a special school. INAC's Northern program is responsible for keeping her here. Steve Brown is the program's coordinator for the Sioux Lookout district.
Some of the kids never did come to school previous to the development of the special ed initiative in Sioux Lookout District. Within a year, we're seeing better communication, better attitude, improved attendance, happier kids, and parents that really approve and like what they see in terms of the way the school and the child are developing.
The Shape A.
Shape A.
Trying to learn with a disability takes extra time and effort from a lot of people. Special education's first priority is to try and meet the student's own needs, even if it means changing a few things. For everyone, a passing grade is less important than the feeling of success.
J.
Listen.
When Linda brings Stacy to the kitchen for individual instruction,
Yes,
it
the
helps to
water's
have a
boiling,
friend
so we can
along.
go back and make the Jell-O. Okay, now. That's right. You turn it off. Okay, now. Okay.
As
put it
well as
down.
developing language and practical life skills, there's a sense of belonging. And for Stacy, a chance to prove himself.
A little bit of clear. Here, watch, because it's hot water, so you keep it down. Good, so it doesn't splash. Go open the door.
It doesn't seem like much, but the simple task of mixing a few things together to make Jell-O gives Stacy the confidence he needs to tackle bigger jobs. Linda Warrett is one of Stacy's teachers.
Is the students that I take out in the afternoon to do a cooking program with, which is a way to work on real life math skills. You have to follow directions. You have to plan your time or things aren't going to be there. You have to learn how to tell time, how to measure. That's an attractive activity. That's not like sitting there and laboring over decoding words to learn to read. The first thing that we look for that gives us an indication that it's working is a display of confidence. And you can see that in posture as they accomplish things in here. Even though things are going to become more difficult, they are, you know, they're happy to come, they do the activities, their attendance picks up in school. Teachers will notice that concentration improves in the classroom and they're much more willing to attempt things.
The special education program in Pikangikum is an example of a new program working extremely well. The people who keep it going consider that education should be more than a classroom exercise. It should be a part of life in the community. John Strang is a community elder and a member of the school committee. program in Pikangikum, teachers at Weagamau's Native Senate School try to meet the needs of all students, regardless of individual differences. They try to keep students in regular classrooms in their home community and try to provide the best learning opportunity in the least restrictive environment. But in the North, especially among Native people isolated in remote communities, special education has a different meaning. Peter Campbell is a special education teacher in Pikangikum.
Culture as it exists outside of the community doesn't always understand the basis of where these children are coming from. So outside support is often difficult to arrange and is not always that beneficial. So in effect, it's the community trying to help itself, direct itself. And because the communication is so direct and isn't a third-party communication, it's a two-party communication, I feel that real problems can be expressed and solutions found.
It takes effort from several people to keep school open for students with special needs. The strengths and weaknesses of each student have to be clearly identified. There must be understanding among teachers, parents, and tutors about the student's personality and needs.
Materials that we need.
At IPRC meetings, the team talks things over and makes decisions. If special equipment is required for the student, it must be purchased. Only then can a program for each student be designed. After a student has been placed in a classroom, it's important to review the program to keep pace with their progress. Without teamwork and cooperation, the program wouldn't work at all.
If we can encourage him to start taking turns, even in very simple ways, that is the first step to communication, pre-communication skill. So that might be something to put into the program, is to work at taking turns. You hold something, and then he holds it, and then it's your turn. Very simple, just as many different kinds of strategies.
When he first started, nistam gagimat that he was we nachtab gupia, he was alone. Yeah, and then no one took Ajenwa George kids in his classroom, like where they do things together. Asia, she's involved in the things that they do. And the children in Makaya wives, they've learned to accept them. And I really encourage children that are handicapped to go to some program. You know, it's good for the child and it's good for the parents.
Styracosaurus had 6 sharp spikes growing around his neck. 6 of them.
The fish eating.
Jack. Jack.
Not eating. Good boy.
Has a horn. Oh, right.
The corn. You eat that? Okay. Well, Ronnie, kaknomoga, special ed kaknomogduch. Kon uguijosin onun mam kawichat students. Tukan gundmago Asia chaude Ronnie. Much been together baragdubin kumasco. Nistam nexigban. First 2 months in gigsik. I was no gong tatsi. I get kids uksan, uksabni. I was no gum today. As we young kids outside recess time, because we judging kids, even inside this classroom, we young kids.
Kana tukujanogum.
Anche bakani judge.
Antiki oskurio nogum.
After comunidade.
Yeah, I got spaghetti and stanschnabel.
Okay.
Yeah. Gone estaba Steven.
Okay.
I got snogum estaba gada. When on and go oskurio maman.
Okay.
And mommy too got nanduga hockey game it's chikiwas.
Okay.
Yeah. Sports game economics.
Yeah.
I think they noticed that maybe there's less trouble getting the kids up to go to school. which the opposite is true. When a kid is having a problem, I think that's how the parents notice it, that the child in some ways, verbally or non-verbally, says he doesn't want to go to school.
Any changes, even as a child, you can remember that almost all changes involve some pain at some time. And I think that teachers, special ed teachers, administrators in schools that have special needs kids have to be willing to be hurt, have to be open and not so objective that they become stones.
They have to be willing to put aside their own belief system and accept that things are different in the North and change what they would normally do. They can't go with fixed attitudes and expect to change things. It won't work. You have to listen to people and learn from the environment.
Kids have to see that the people around them care and have emotion and have commitment to them. And when they see that healthy kind of humanity, they respond positively. Good work.
We're trying to get them to move forward. That would be the motto. Always forward.
If school in the North is to have any meaning at all, it has to be special for everyone. There's little chance that the kind of life kids see in pictures and on TV will ever come their way. But for kids like Samantha, Stacy, Bradley, and Ron, school has to be something different. Special education proves that everyone can learn, and the most important lessons are those shared between people.
Thank you, Waterway Productions in Canada, for that video. Let's travel now to Ruby, Alaska, where sometimes the neatest things in life are the bare necessities.
In 1911, there was 1912 along in there was an awful lot of people here. Well, all the people from out the creeks, Long Creek, Poor Man, and all of them in here, there was 5,000 people during the stampede. There was tents all over the hills here and everything. And
Ruby, Alaska was settled in the early 1900s when gold was discovered there. It was named Ruby because garnets were found in Ruby Creek. Today, 184 people live in Ruby. Although the population has lessened, it's still a busy place.
5 pounds, I guess.
This is the pike Martha caught, and her family lives pretty much a subsistence lifestyle. Martha hunts her own moose, fishes for her fish, gathers berries. And around Ruby, she's known as someone who always shares.
Good going, Sonny.
Every spring, Ruby hosts a spring carnival with dog races and ski races and snowshoe races. Life can sometimes be tough in rural Alaska, but like many villages, the residents of Ruby are making the best of what they have and having a ball.
Trees to make some honey just for me, the
Thank you so much for joining me for Heartbeat Alaska. Native news across the nation, the north, the south, everywhere. And that means that I'm looking for video from your village, community, or reservation. Please give me a call at area code 907-272-8111. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining me for another Heartbeat Alaska.
Ta-dum-ta, ta-dum-ta.